welcome to the Crack a Can talk show. It's good to be back. I just want to give a quick shout out to Andrew and Kristen, who have held down the interviews for the last couple of weeks. They've both smashed it, so make sure to go into the channel and check out the interviews they've been doing. We're joined by Duncan Cowles today, who is a documentary filmmaker, a BAFTA winner, and I guess a mobile game developer. We'll kind of get into that, I guess, in a wee bit. But thanks so much for coming on, Duncan.
Thanks very much. Yeah, nice to be here. Thanks for having me. And,
that's all right. Like, how have you been doing?
I've been doing all right. I was just explaining to you there before we started about my wasp situation coming in. That's all I can think about now, to be honest with you.
It's just on your head.
Just the diverting wasps. It's been a constant problem this year. I don't want to go on about it too long, but
no, dive into it, mate.
I often hear them buzzing outside the window more than I normally would, and I wonder if there must be a nest close looking. But yeah, apart from that, I'm good. I'm good. I've got my can.
I was going to say the first question on this show is always what you're drinking. So what's on the menu, big man? What are you having?
Well, don't judge me too much.
All right, here we go.
It's just a slimline tonic.
Oofed. Okay.
on its own, yeah, I know. It's just that's all it was.
There is no pressure to drink alcohol. Our last guest on this also drank, I think it was a can of Red Bull, so you're all right. There is no pressure.
Red Bull's almost more wild than alcohol.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so there we go.
Cheers,
cheers, anyway. It's a tiny can.
There's a quote from you, actually, from your new show that I'm now going to throw at you straight away for not drinking. You did say you don't sesh for tomorrow, you sesh for right now, which are words I kind of want to live by, to be honest.
That's right. It's not about tomorrow. It's about the exact moment you're in. In which case, I should probably have alcohol, but I don't. I'm more worried about the moment. I'm like it sort of feels like 3:30 in the afternoon. It's like you could do it and you could end the day there. Because I feel like once I start, it's like
there's no point in stopping.
It's kind of it. I can't go back to do work. I can't sort of concentrate on anything afterwards. So it's quite like a commitment. I've got a sort of I'm mentoring like a filmmaker. So I have to sort of help the filmmaker later on.
You do quite a lot of stuff like that, don't you? You do like kind of like workshops and stuff.
I do workshops and things as well. Yeah, I've been doing a day of planning for a workshop I'm doing this weekend in Cumbernauld.
Oh, brilliant!
So it's kind of first in-person one that's like I've done a few remote ones recently, for obvious reasons, but it's the first kind of in-person bit of workshop teaching that I've done in ages. So quite looking forward to that.
Is it something you enjoy doing, like kind of helping like new filmmakers and people can aspire them to do what you do?
Because I feel like, to be honest with you, I learn as much as they do, which is maybe, I don't know if that's good or bad, but it sort of reminds you of like because I've got like various workshops that I sort of adapt for different organizations or people that I'm doing it for, and I'm going through my notes and stuff like today, and I kind of get re-excited about the films and the clips of things that I'm going to show. So I don't just show my work; I'll show clips of like other filmmakers and things, to sort of show different styles and methods of like making documentaries. And often it's films I've not watched in ages, and I'm like watching little clips. I'm like, oh yeah, it's quality. It's like, oh yeah, I love that film. It's like you start learning and getting excited about things again. Which
do you like pick up on things that maybe you didn't notice like the last time you watched it or like the first time you viewed it and stuff?
Aye, definitely aye. It's and your opinion changes on stuff as well. You're like things that you maybe thought were quite good a few years ago, or the last time you did the workshop or whatever. You're doing it again. You're like, actually, I don't know if that film is as good as I thought it was. Suddenly, if you show it to a room of like blank faces, I'm like, oh, maybe it's not as exciting as I thought it was.
There's nothing worse than doing that, man. Like we're all kind of music based on this show. Like you write a song, you think it sounds amazing, then you let someone hear it and like, oh, that actually kind of sucks. Like it's only when you see someone else's reaction you can really get a gauge for like what you're doing.
That's it. I mean, that's the case with like when you make a film and stuff. Yeah, you're like you don't really know. Like you can be stuck in the edit suite for ages. Yeah, making what you hope is all right, and then you'll send it to people obviously for feedback, and it can be quite devastating sometimes.
Is that like a
or
problem you've
equally,
had? Oh, sorry, you go.
I was going to say, even when it's the finished thing and you put it out into the world, you've no idea how people are going to react, and
Yeah.
it can go either way. Yeah.
Like, is that something you've kind of worried with before? Because obviously a lot of the stuff you do, you kind of do on your own. Like I know with Scary Adult Things, you did work with Studio Something, but when you're doing like your own kind of stuff, like you are alone for a lot of what you do. Like, does that like worry start to set in quite early on that maybe this was a waste of time or it's not kind of going to plan the way you thought it would in your head?
Continually on. That's like the overarching thought of like my entire career. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Maybe this isn't actually working. No, yeah. Some films haven't worked, and that's normally quite a good learning experience, but it can be quite disheartening in the moment.
Yeah, of course.
And you can spend months or a year on something that sort of ends up rubbish, and you just think, well, as long as you've learned something so the next film isn't as bad, then you kind of can pass it off as like, oh, it was still useful. But yeah, I've quite a lot of stuff I've done. Like I've actually turned things in my life that have maybe failed ventures almost into films as well. So like the film I made a film called Taking Stock back in 2017, and it was kind of based off my failed attempts at making stock footage and selling it online, which I genuinely tried to do for a bit of extra cash and just wasn't selling any of the clips. So then made a film with all the clips talking about how it failed.
Such a great idea.
And then that ended up being like, you know, I got funding and ended up on TV, like on Channel 4 and stuff. And it was like, I was like, oh, cool. So it's like, at least I've turned that failure, which was a bit embarrassing at the time. Because I'd told all my mates, like, I was like, oh, I've cracked the secret of like,
of making money,
passive income. Yeah. And then it didn't work out, but the short film did all right. So, yeah, I've done like things like that.
It's hard to know,
a few failed things.
Yeah, it's hard to know what's going to like do well, because you could spend like you're saying months and a lot of time and effort on something for it ultimately not to work, but then you could film your mum talking about a lamp and you're sitting almost 1 million views on it. So
yeah, exactly. I think people, that was another like accident that came out of like a different project that wasn't particularly good, and then that little clip ended up being way more
this like massive success. Like it was
was
it on the
first
front
ever
page of YouTube and stuff? Like it properly blew up.
It was on the front page of YouTube and front page of like Reddit and front page of MSN.com back when that was
getting shared on like people's MySpaces, isn't it?
That was the place to be, really, front page of MSN.com.
Oh, for sure, man.
At the big time.
That was the pinnacle at the point.
Aye. But yeah, that's it. I mean, one thing that's quite, failure is quite a universal thing. Like we all fail continually, I think. So
constantly.
What I discovered probably quite early on was that people enjoy watching me fail at stuff. Like, and so if I'm just honest about it, then it doesn't mean I'm not like also competent at making films. Like I can still make films and like teach workshops and stuff. But I think something I'm always big on is like just be honest, and like if stuff doesn't work, just incorporate that into the story and talk about that in the film, and audiences seem to engage with that quite a lot. So yeah.
Well, I think that's like quite a big theme for your new show. Like, I don't want to say it's all about like insecurity, but it's it somewhat is. Like, it's definitely a running theme for the 6 episodes. Like I'm 25, so I'm like the perfect age for that documentary to come out. So I'm sitting watching this. It's like he's still in my life here. Like, what's happening? That was something I wanted to ask you. Like, when making this and speaking to all these people, did it help your own insecurities?
Yeah, I think so. Like the sort of whole thing was motivated by that, like different insecurities. So like living at home and not having a pension, like various things that I sort of feel like I shouldn't still be doing or should have sorted out. And other people normally look like they've got sorted out, or you assume people have their sort of stuff all together. But so then by going and speaking and actually finding out stuff about other people, like you then learn that actually we're all kind of just winging it. And so that was kind of, yeah, I mean, it was quite therapeutic, I suppose, in a way. Making a show like that.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed that about the show. Like, it felt very personal. I don't know if maybe it was just because, like, you're Scottish, so I can relate to seeing a Scottish person on telly interviewing Scottish people. Like, okay, this is talking to me directly, because these are like people I could bump into in the street or something like that.
I have bumped into some of them in the street since.
Oh, really?
Just by chance, yeah. Like, it's kind of, I'm like, oh, there's the guy from my show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I liked was how real the scary adult things felt, because you do that thing where, and you probably get this comparison all the time, so I'm sorry to make it like that people will probably compare you to Louis Theroux for the sake that you keep those kind of awkward bits in where you're telling them what to say at the start and stuff. But I love that because it just makes it feel like not scripted, and it's like, really, this is a true reflection of who this person is. Is that like a kind of stylistic choice you made to make it feel more personal?
Yeah, I think like those are they're often the more human parts of an interview, sort of like the bit where you're setting up, or the mistakes, or like unscripted things. You know, you go in, like I go in with a set of sort of questions and like things that I want to find out, but I also am quite keen on just letting the conversation flow and letting unexpected things come to the table. And it's not like you can never plan too much with documentary, because it's real life, or it should be. And so you should be letting these kind of moments that you could never have scripted, if you know what I mean. Like, you couldn't have scripted them, so they're more real life things. I mean, that's how conversations in the real world actually happen. You know, they don't happen like the Netflix soundbite documentaries. Like, that's not how people actually speak. It's not how conversations flow. So yeah, like, so I'm always been keen on portraying the interactions kind of as they happened. I mean, obviously you still edit them down, but
of course.
Like, you know, you do like hour-long interviews and you're showing 5 minutes, but yeah, choosing moments that also just reveal more of the character of the people you're speaking to, and more of the human quality about them that kind of makes you, it brings you into them a little bit more, brings you into their world. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it makes
that's always been a style.
It could open up to you as well. Like,
I mean, I like to think I give as much as they do as well. So you maybe don't see as much of me in every interview, but like sometimes we're cutting out 5 minutes of me almost rambling on in between asking the questions, because it is a proper chat that we'll have. It's not like an interrogation. We'll cut out a lot of my ramble, but we also leave enough in that it does feel like a conversation. So yeah. And you have to be prepared to, or I feel like you should be prepared to put, you know, sort of, if you're interviewing someone, you should be prepared to sort of be interviewed yourself on the same topic, just 100%. From like an ethical thing as well. Of like, I wouldn't want to go around and just ask all these people all these things and not, and just hide myself away completely. You know, I should be as open as I'm asking them to be. Yeah.
But obviously, short films was kind of your thing, and then you've jumped to a 6-part series. Like, was that jump scary for you? Like, that must be a lot of pressure to go from, because I read you were thinking about making it short. You weren't quite sure what you were going to do, and then you obviously you bit the bullet and went for 6 half-an-hour episodes. Like, how was that for you?
It was a learning curve. I mean, yeah, because we didn't really know when everyone was pitching. I was like, oh, I mean, hopefully this is like a series, but equally, I just didn't know if they would take a chance on, you know, maybe just made a few short films kind of thing. But so it was like, obviously a jump up from, like, I'll sit and spend like a year off and on like a 5-minute short film, try to get, you know, perfecting it and getting it right. And then it's like, okay, now you've got to make like 3 hours of TV in a few months. So it was definitely like, cool, I'm gonna have to approach this slightly differently. So I just kind of like once it started, it was just like every day, just got on with it, and had to work hard. Couldn't get as distracted as I normally like to get. Like longer days than normal. Not a lot of
especially
days
the
off.
driving you were doing as well. Like some of them were driving. Like driving to Essex and stuff like that. Like that's quite a trek for you.
Yeah, we did we would try and best possible like get people that lived close to each other, like film, you know. So like when I went to Essex, I like stopped on the way down at like the borders to film, and then stopped to film just underneath Newcastle, and then so it was like there was at least breaking the journey up, but it was still like
okay, that's good at least.
There was still a lot of early mornings and a lot of me sitting in hotel rooms transferring footage and stuff. But I mean that I kind of enjoy all that stuff. Like it's it's kind of relentless, but like it was all fun as well. You know, like it was good fun, even if I was on my own a lot of the time. It was still like enjoyable because I was getting to meet all these people. You know?
Yeah, you're meeting really exciting people, and like you're experiencing like a lot of. I mean, I'm going to throw a shot in the dark here and say it's things you don't usually do. Like I don't know if mindful swimming is something you often do in Edinburgh, but like experiences like that, are having tea with llamas and stuff. Like I can only assume this isn't things you do on the regular.
Not very often, no. I've been thinking about going back and doing the tea with sheep. It's actually so enjoyable.
You seem to really enjoy that, to be fair.
I can't recommend that one enough, actually. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't. Yeah, I think for me, it felt like I was just getting to go around and like make friends make a new friend every day almost.
I felt like that. And you could see that.
And so it was like quite a privilege, to be honest with you.
But obviously, with your new show, like you kind of jump from short films to doing full episodes, and then you're jumping from full episodes to The Silent Men, which is going to be your kind of first feature length.
Yeah.
Is that a bigger jump from shorts to episodes, do you think, or are they like kind of similar experiences for you?
It's a tough one because I've been doing that for ages now. So like that was 5 years. Well, 2017, start of 2017 is when most of the footage begins. Yeah, maybe unless you count archive footage from when I was like 2.
Yeah.
Started it when I was born. No, I think it was so I've been shooting on and off for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Mainly off now because I have actually finished all the filming.
Oh, brilliant.
About a year ago. Before most of Scary Adult Things. So chronologically wise, it'd be if someone watches Scary Adult Things, then watches it, they'll be like, "How is he 5 years younger?"
So looks great in this, man.
He's suddenly like, so I'm suddenly like your age. I'm like suddenly 25. Yeah, but yeah, it's still recognizably me. Still recognizably the same bedroom and all that. But it's sort of a harder. Yeah, it's been a tough one structurally to get right. So the moment like I'm kind of editing it at the moment, been editing the past few weeks, and we'll be editing 2017 for a few more.
Is that right?
Aye.
I think that was kind of just before. Like obviously I could be wrong here. I was obviously a bit younger, but when like cause it kind of circles around men's mental health a lot, doesn't it? So
yeah,
I think that has become more of a talking point maybe in the last 2-3 years than it probably was in 2017.
Yeah, it's had way more press attention over the 5 since starting than it was getting. Yeah. It was kind of it was kind of beginning to creep into the radar, I felt.
Yeah.
When I started it. And then there was a big sort of surge, and then it sort of died down, and then obviously like different topics have come and gone. It still kind of gets mentioned a lot more now than I feel like it ever did, but statistically things haven't changed a whole lot.
No.
In terms of it, if anything, they've got slightly worse in some.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, if anything, it's gone another way.
Yeah, and so it's still a very relevant topic. It's just the film is a bit. It's been a tough one because I think for me to make it, it's been really difficult on a kind of personal level.
Of course.
And so, what I've done and what a lot of men do is I've avoided it. So
well,
me avoiding the film has almost become a big part of the narrative. Yep. And so hence why it's taken me like 5 years and all the rest of it. And it does eventually, it gets there. It totally gets there. I think it has a conclusion. But the middle is like, it's a nightmare. And it's a nightmare for me watching back. And I'm like, there's things like I look like I just look incompetent, but it's not. It's because I'm like finding it difficult to do it.
There's obviously no easy way to go about it. Like it is potentially probably the hardest thing to talk about.
So I'm trying to present it to an audience in a feature film in a way that's entertaining and that makes sense and that it isn't just annoying for an audience and really shoddy.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get
so
you.
I find balance. And so I'm digging into that like most days, at least 2-3 days a week anyway, but most days that I don't have something else I need to do, I'm kind of sitting editing. And it's just one of those ones. It's just like, just got to get on with it and
how do you feel about
it made?
Like working on it so long? Is it like, are you still like immensely proud of it, or are you starting to like, is it starting to kind of play on you a wee bit now that it's been so long?
There's bits of it that I'm like, oh, that bit works really well, or I think it works really well. There's other bits that I'm like, that doesn't work well at all, but maybe it's all right.
Yeah, is it one of those ones that you've watched it so many times that you're like, you know, when you look at a word for too long, like that's not a word anymore. It's kind of like that with your own film.
Yeah, it's a bit strange and sort of weird going back to footage that you filmed so long ago, because it's sort of weirdly familiar. And you've also, like, I've had to show bits of it over the 5 years for trying to
like funding and stuff,
get funding and stuff. And so I know certain little bits have worked with an audience.
Right. Okay.
But I have to
kind of like audience testing, but not
audience testing with like commissioning people.
Yeah.
But it's sort of it doesn't. You kind of, it's hard to remember that actually like an audience still hasn't seen it, and so it can all still change. And you find yourself getting attached to little phrases that people say or things, and then you're like, and then I'll watch it like through, and I'm like, I don't remember that guy saying that. And then I'm like scrolling through for like one line of dialogue, and I'm like, that's probably not as important as I think it is. It's just because I remember that guy laughing. Once,
but to you, that laugh feels important.
So yeah, I go around in circles with it, to be honest with you. But hopefully it'll get there. And
is that when you're doing yourself, or are you doing this with like a kind of bigger team as well?
It's a very small team.
Very small team. Bigger than just you, though.
It's mainly me, and I have a producer, Rebecca, who helps me with it. So
what's the plan for when you've got it edited? Is it just like your festivals and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, depending on how good it is, it'll either go to film festivals.
Duncan.
And maybe it'll get a TV commission, but it might not. Do you know what I mean? It might be rubbish. I think at the moment it's more important to get it done.
Yeah, for sure.
Than like, because it feels like that thing that I'm dragging around behind me.
Yeah,
that I can't quite.
You can't shift.
But but I do want it to be good. I mean, hopefully, festivals and broadcasts, and then it could be used for like, maybe it could be used for charities as well. You know, maybe it could be like community screenings and stuff to kind of like get people talking about the issue as well. Do you know? Like, be quite keen on that.
Somewhat more than just a film. Like it can be used to like shine light on people's needs and help.
Something that can be used as a bit of a tool for people to think about what they might be able to, you know, tweak in their own life, or look at things that they've got going on. I mean, it's sort of such a big issue that I don't know how much my film even helps, but like hopefully
light on it is important. Like it is something that a lot of men struggle with, and it's not even just men, but obviously in this kind of case. But I think it's good that you're shining a light on it, and obviously like someone like yourself who's on the BBC and won a BAFTA and stuff like that. I think that is important to have people like you like kind of repping that. I know you probably don't think that, but
hopefully,
I think
yeah.
that is really good to have like, that kind of person in that corner.
Hopefully, yeah. I'm quite I suppose I'm quite interested in I've always been quite interested in the area, so I think it is something that I'll be quite excited about being able to kind of stand up and actually talk about it as well. But
it must be quite hard to like, going between that and the house and like, kind of like chronologically came before Scary Adult Things, because you're working on something that I can only assume is quite emotionally taxing and quite heavy, to then like doing voiceovers for Benidorm Bay City Rollers and talking to folk about OnlyFans and stuff. Like, it's such a juxtaposition between the two.
It's slightly different, yeah. It's it's the sort of emotionally difficult stuff that definitely is like, it's harder, but it's hopefully like all worth it. I mean, I'm used to like jumping about, because when you freelance, you know, even outside of the bigger projects, I can be doing different things each day of the week. I could be doing a workshop or on the Monday, and then I could be filming some guy talk about search engine optimization on the Tuesday, like for a bit of money, you know, like you kind of do what you have to do to kind of
of course,
get through. So I'm quite used to jumping about different, and also like within filming, like stylistically, like obviously you've got like Scary Adult Things and the feature. There's definitely like stylistically similar things going on, but with some of the shorts, like I've occasionally done like a way more experimental styled film, almost to sort of purge some just like creative thing that I want to just shove into a film, and then move on to something else and do something maybe funny, and then do something that's slightly sadder.
I love that.
You know,
like that's what being creative is. Like I don't know what kind of music you're into and stuff, but there's like this artist I listen to called Devin Townsend, and he always says a very similar thing. Like, he can write a pop song no problem, and then just when he gets to the last quarter of it, his brain just goes and then he just writes all this mad mental stuff and just piles like crazy stuff on. But I think like it's something I've seen you say before, that like when you're doing short films, that you kind of do not more basic but more familiar types of films, and then you'll just do something completely out there. But I guess that's kind of the beauty of being a director. Like, you can do that. You can jump from whatever you like. It's like, but it's also kind of uniquely you. Like, your more experimental stuff is still, you could probably find a link to Scary Adult Things in it, because it's still you, and it still has like your sensibilities and your sort of flavor through it.
Hopefully, hopefully my voice, not literally my voice, although I guess sometimes.
And your voice isn't.
But my kind of point of view, my point of view, and sort of, I suppose maybe my take on the world a wee bit is in all the work, regardless of how one end or the other it is. But that's maybe, I
guess that's what's good everyone. Of like Scary Adult Things though. Like all the people you interviewed are so different. Like, you have like your first episode about like living at home and stuff. That you have people who are very, like the guy with the liver failure and stuff, like it's very heartfelt. And then a few episodes later, you have the guy in the brewery who's just like the happiest person I think I've ever seen on film. Like doing tricks in his wee little like mini BMX and stuff. Like that must be like, he was brilliant. Like, that must be great. Like, you're telling this kind of wider narrative, but you do see a lot of different aspects from it. Like, you did cover a lot of ground. And that, like, I think everyone in it was so uniquely different.
We hoped when sort of planning the who we'd include, like who would feature, obviously we looked at every episode and wanted to make sure that, it varies slightly, but say there's like 5 contributors in each episode. We want to make sure those 5 people all had different, we're bringing something different to the table. And be different enough for an audience, but also that I would kind of have I would learn something different from each one of them.
Right, okay.
And I suppose by me learning something different, the audience by proxy.
Kind of learns with you.
Learns with me, yeah. So it was like, that was very like intentional in the planning. Obviously, like, again, you can only plan so much, so people would take things in more unexpected directions, and you're like, all right, or I'd learn like something we hadn't realized before, you know, something that hadn't been flagged before, like, oh right, okay, they do, you know, paragliding, like, or whatever. That didn't happen, but do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like,
how are you happy with the final outcome of it all? Like, obviously now, like the whole thing's out now. Like the entire show is available on BBC iPlayer, so people have watched it. I can only assume reviews have been coming in and stuff. Like, how do you feel now that the whole thing's out there?
Yeah, quite relieved, I suppose. Like, relieved that people like it. I was quite worried that people wouldn't. I think that's a constant worry for me in general with everything that I do. But I was especially worried with this because you spent so long making it, and you've told people about it, so you know at least your mates are going to watch it, and it's going to be embarrassing if they all have to like pretend to like it. And I can normally tell when people are pretending, or I think I can. So it's it's kind of it's relieving, I suppose. Yeah, relieved that people. I mean, I'm proud of it, obviously. But I've not watched it.
I absolutely loved it. Like, I understand that I'm the target age for it and stuff, but I honestly loved it. Like, it's good to feel that it's not just you that has those worries, and obviously it's quite obvious. Like, I've got a lot of friends who live at home and stuff like that, but it's good to see other people like having the exact same thought process that you have. Like, okay, maybe I'm not alone in this, which I assume is probably something that you were going for, and also probably for yourself as well. Like, you could see you were like happy learning these things, and like you were saying, like, you learned from the different participants in every episode. Like, it's good not to feel so alone in things like that. Like, I think you had the stat, was it 1 in 4 people live at home that are between 26 and 32 or something like that?
Yeah, 1 in 4 in the age group, which is which I can't remember. It was millennials, but I can't remember can't remember the dates. But I should, but I can't remember. But yeah, it was a quarter of people, probably more in the if anything in the lower age group below it. So more relevant. But yeah, it's
like,
how's it been living at home?
Yeah, like, have you made plans to move, or like, obviously you're looking in the documentary, but like,
I've made plans.
Has COVID kind of impacted like kind of stalled you moving out?
I made plans 5 years ago.
Right, okay.
But they kept getting pushed back. No, but no, yeah, it did stall things a wee bit, but no, I'm going to move out this summer. So
oh wow.
So it's definitely going to happen. It's firm.
I'm glad for
you. Firm plans to finally move out. So yeah, we'll have a different backdrop.
Yeah, I don't feel so weird. Like,
post July.
I watched the documentary, and then now I'm seeing like the set from the documentary now, like in the background of me
real.
Talking to you. It's not like a BBC set. There's not someone carrying the back wall away.
I know. What I might do is I might take like a photograph of the frame that you see without me in it.
Yeah.
And then wherever I go, I'll green screen like that just to keep background. Up the. I'll probably do that for a laugh. But yeah. But I do. I do.
Documentary? Was it during COVID that you filmed it all?
Yeah, episode 1 was the year before because it was the pilot. So we'd done that to kind of get the commission, or got commissioned to do the pilot, and then did the pilot to get the full commission.
Right.
And we did tweak a few things in it, but largely what you see is all 2019, and then the rest, so episode 2 till 6 is kind of all filmed like mainly in the autumn last year, autumn kind of going into the winter.
Right. Okay.
As restrictions started getting worse and worse, but we kind of got most of the filming done with people before the restrictions got really bad. You can kind of, it felt like, you know, in the films where the doors are closing and they have to like run and slide under them. It was like, and then like they have to they quickly grab the hat. That was like the little pickup shots and stuff. But yeah, and then some of the bedroom stuff was like after that, because we left some of that. Yeah, we were like, we knew we had to get like the people stuff, but annoyingly, like some of the people stuff involved me having to do stuff in my bedroom before, you know, like in episode almost 2 where because I couldn't say film the romantic couple stuff in episode 2 without having filming me like putting the advert out, if you know what I mean. And then also I had to have done the photo shoot to do, so there was certain things that like had to be filmed chronologically. Some of it didn't, and then some of it was like picked up. I mean, I think I still filmed a couple of little bedroom bits like the very end of December. I think Christmas holidays, like we had 1 week of editing left, and I filmed like 2 or 3 little shots to slot in. So so it was kind of scattered.
I did love that. Thank you so much for talking to us, Duncan. Like, I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Is now on BBC iPlayer. Is there anything else you want to plug before I let you go? Like, what have you got coming up?
Mainly workshops. I suppose I'm just working on the feature, so I would say just if folk want to watch more of my stuff. Obviously, Scary Adult Things is on the iPlayer for at least another, 8, 9, 10 months or something. It does a full year from whenever it went up. So till March, you can watch that. And then obviously I've got a load of short films on my Vimeo page that people can watch, past work and stuff, which is, I guess if they like Scary Adult Things, they'll like most of that. Not a release date. I've got like my own deadlines for like getting it edited. Cool. So I'll hopefully get most of the editing done over the summer this year. But that could mean that the actual release of it isn't until
a good while
next year. Yeah, but and I don't know where or how.
We'll keep people updated on our side as well.
So if it, so it'll be. I mean, I suppose like I've got like a mailing list, and I've got like Twitter and Instagram and stuff. If people follow me on all that sort of
in the description, so people can find like your updates and stuff like that as well.
All that sort of stuff is where I'll post. I've gone kind of quiet on. I felt like I really hammered promotions when the series was out, and I've kind of gone quiet now because I spent so long on social media tweeting about the show.
So much time at influencers.
Yeah,
like you have to keep that gram up.
I should be better at it. I know, but I've fallen back now into like, I'm slightly too scared to post. Yeah, I don't know why. And now I've got more followers once the series came out.
Yeah,
but that doesn't help. That's just more pressure.
Exactly. That's more eyes on you.
It's sort of this weird thing where you're like, oh, it's nice to get new followers, but it almost makes me less likely to post. So it's a double-edged sword. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I will, if there's anything remotely interesting going on in my life that I don't mind sharing, I'll I mean, if I'm just climbing a hill or whatever, I'll probably not bother. But if it's something relevant to folk, then I'll maybe bang it up there. Or if something funny happens up the hill, you
might take it.
If I film it, but yeah, no, just all the usual places, and whatever comes next will be out there.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been Cracker Can Talk Show. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with new episodes as well, so make sure to subscribe and like and all that jazz, and we will see you in the future. Cheers.